Nicolas Cage, Little Nas X, and who else do we got? Rajah Jackson, along with a lot of other star news today. It seemed like everybody was in the headlines. Before we get into it, let's say hi to my producer, Nat.
Hello.
Thanks for helping me out today. She's going to be gone in a couple of weeks, so the show may go awry. Last time she left, I didn't do the show because I'm incapable without her sometimes. Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay, let's get into Nicolas Cage here.
From Deadline, Nicolas Cage in talks for True Detective Season 5.
Yeah, and I liked True Detective Season 1. It was phenomenal. They need to kind of, they got a big star here that they can really put Season 5 around. The question is, will it come out? Nicolas Cage is either a complete hit or a complete miss. He really doesn't have those in-between roles. I tend to find on more low-budget horror films or some of his low-budget B films, he's not quite as good. But something like True Detective, where it has good editors, good producers, and it's properly produced, he should be able to do a fantastic job. I expect him to absolutely shine in this role, especially if the detective has a drinking problem or something else like that can really lean into Nicolas Cage's strengths, like in Leaving Las Vegas. Let's read a little bit about this and see how close they are to this deal.
Oscar winner Nicolas Cage is in talks to headline the upcoming 5th season of HBO's Emmy-winning crime anthology series True Detective, which marks the return of Season 4's Issa Lopez as writer-showrunner, sources tell Deadline. As Deadline revealed earlier this year, the new installment will be set in New York in Jamaica Bay, per HBO's head of drama series and film Francesca Orsi. Cage is in talks for the lead role of Henry Logan, a New York detective on the case at the center of the new season, sources said.
Yeah, and it sounds like it would be good, especially it being in New York. It's got a lot of kind of characters they're going to be able to weave into the story, a lot of different plot twists, meaning it's not just a rural location with not a lot of people to introduce into the plot. So let's go a little bit more into it.
As the actor has been circling the part for a while, it is unclear whether the deal will close. Another Oscar winner, Jodie Foster, also took a long time to make her deal for True Detective Season 4, Night County.
Yeah, HBO typically tends to underpay their actors, but they make good productions. Somebody like Nicolas Cage, this would be huge for. He can really platform off this as a springboard into other more big projects. So he maybe takes a pay cut here to get a pay bump in his next feature films. I think this would be a good move for Nicolas Cage overall. I really do like him as an actor, but sometimes he just completely misses the mark. And I think he started missing the mark when he had to declare bankruptcy. He didn't manage his money so well, so he had to do dozens and dozens of films to kind of pay back his tax credit. And that's what really added on to the string of flops that he did made. He recently has made a pretty good comeback, and he seems like he's choosing his roles a little bit more carefully. Okay, maybe let's go into Little Nas X. And I had seen this the other day, but I didn't report on it. Now that the charges are coming up, it's maybe a good time to report on it.
From NBC News, Lil Nas X charged with 4 felonies after he's accused of assaulting officers while wandering naked on LA Street. The Old Town Road rapper, whose legal name is Montero Lamar Hill, charged at officers when they approached him early Thursday, authorities allege.
Yeah, and did you see the clip of this?
No, but he's the one that did that whole rap video with Satan or the devil or...
Yeah, where he's twerking, he's doing all kinds of LGBTQ things with Satan. It's really... I don't like him at all. I will say he looked absolutely crazy in the clip. I'm not showing it because he was kind of walking down the street in just his briefs. And then supposedly from there, he assaulted the cops. The assault on the police officers was not filmed. That being said, he did look like he was out of his mind walking the streets. I think it was at 2 or 3 a.m. in Los Angeles. And for somebody with, I would assume, have as much money as him, it's just odd behavior.
Well, he's an odd man.
Yeah, I would say this could work out to benefit his career overall. And what do I mean by that? Record labels really love to have power over their artists. So if a record label comes in here, meets all of his legal bills, signs them to multiple album deals, they may reinvest it in them because they know they have them basically for life now.
And I mean, they could do the whole, oh, mental health angle and him saying sorry.
Well, I think the culture is shifting. I don't see much in the way of hits for Little Nas X. That being said, controversy does sometimes stir up album sales, and there is a counterculture mounting on the left, so maybe he could lead that. I don't think it's necessarily the best type of counterculture, though.
I mean, read it.
Yeah, let's read a little bit.
Lil Nas X was charged with 4 felonies accusing him of injuring officers when he was found naked on Ventura Boulevard in Los Angeles last week. Charges he pleaded not guilty to. Los Angeles police had said Lil Nas X, the Old Town rapper, whose legal name is Montreal Lamar Hill, charged at officers when they approached him early Thursday. Officers said they received reports of a nude man in the area.
Yeah, and I believe they had to take him to the hospital after that because somehow a video emerged of him in the hospital. So I'm not sure if he went to the hospital and then to jail after that. And now he's out on bail, it looks like. And hello to Rafa. Good to see you again.
Yes, good morning, Rafa. And it says law enforcement alleged to NBC News last week that Hill punched an officer in the face twice and that it was unclear whether he was in mental distress or experiencing too many substances. Hill was taken to the hospital and accused of battery on a police officer. Court documents filed Monday in LA County Superior Court show Hill faces 3 counts of battery on a police officer and 1 count of resisting arrest. More details are not available.
Yeah, I mean, he has enough money. Depending on his past criminal record, I would expect him to get off on probation here. Although probation may not be the best thing for him because I would assume that he would be a repeat offender. He did look a little bit out of his mind. If he is using substances, it's going to be hard for him to meet drug testing for his probation and things like that. So it's going to be interesting what does happen here. I would expect him to wind up in jail and this to be a repeating pattern going forward.
And apparently he was held in custody over the weekend and released on a conditional $75,000 bail after he appeared before a judge Monday morning. Attorney Christine O'Connor told the court that Hill has strong community ties and no criminal history and does not present a flight risk. Apparently it's still unsure if any substances were involved, the lawyer said. She said test results may be pending, but nothing has been submitted into the record.
Oh, okay. Without a criminal record, without any previous criminal charges, he's definitely going to get probation here. That being said, his drug test is going to come back. He may be sentenced to rehabilitation, a rehab program, an AA program where they're going to sign off on however many AAs they say he has to go to. On top of that, like if it is a substance abuse issue, on top of a mental health issue, I'd expect him not to be able to meet the probation requirements for the 2 to 3 years he's going to be in probation there. On top of that, he's going to need to travel for appearances because he is a musician. So it's going to be interesting what the terms of that probation is.
It says a plea of not guilty was entered into the court record Monday, and a hearing has been scheduled for September 15th. Hill is expected to attend 4 Narcotics Anonymous meetings a week or enroll in an outpatient NA program as a condition of his release.
Oh, God, I could just imagine being in an AA meeting with Little Nas X and the stories that he would tell.
I wouldn't be too interested, but
I would be pretty interested because then I could retell the stories on here.
Since you know LA pretty well, Ventura Boulevard, is that a nice part, an ugly part, sketchy part?
I don't really know. I think it's where a lot of the, I think it was a former strip of LA and it's not as nice anymore. Okay, let's go into, this was a big story yesterday. We kind of reported on this, and this was Raja Jackson. The reason I put it in for the pop culture, because there is more breaking news about this story. We'll read the article, and then I'll go into one of the gentlemen that gave the statement who might be an accessory to ending somebody's life here.
From CNN Sports, and I got angry after this story, because we saw,
you did.
We read it on RUMBLE.
Yeah, well,
and I went off.
It gets a little worse,
but I can't do that on YouTube.
Well, yeah, it gets a lot worse now today after the statement that was made. But I want to go into the article and then I'll talk about his gang ties and stuff like this.
Ex-UFC champion Rampage Jackson very upset after son appears to beat motionless wrestler in bout gone quote-unquote wrong. Is that him?
Oh,
that's the
that's his father. Yeah. And his father was very well known. He was a UFC champion, and he was one of the first UFC champions to make a crossover into Hollywood and be in movies. This is commonplace now, but at that time it wasn't. And he didn't just cross over. He did very well in the movies he was in, such as The A-Team. He now has a very successful podcast, and yeah, let's go into it a little bit.
Former UFC champion Quinton Rampage Jackson has apologized and said he is very upset after his son allegedly committed, it's on video, committed what organizers called a selfish, irresponsible act of violence against a wrestler during an event Saturday night in Sun Valley, California. Footage from the event posted on social media showed Jackson's son, Raja Jackson, a professional MMA fighter, sliding into the ring during another bout and throwing Psycho Stu, whose real name is Stuart Smith, to the mat. The video, which bears a watermark suggesting it was live streamed on the video platform Kick, showed Jackson straddling Smith before repeatedly punching him in the face and on the side of his head, even when Smith was laying motionless.
Yeah,
the
and
wrestlers then restrained Jackson.
And we did show that video last night on RUMBLE in our final segment on our political show at night. That being said, I woke up and one of the gentlemen that told Raja to get his dewbacks in the ring gave an interview this morning, and he gave an interview because a lot of people were trying to frame him as an accessory. I actually do think he may be an accessory here. That fact being said, the interview he gave was over an hour long, and he went from enraged to calm to enraged. He didn't look stable. And some of the stuff he said at one point, he lifted up his shirt and showed this tattoo that said D6 on his stomach. I guess that's referring to some kind of gang. I don't know if it's in California or Texas, but he said Raja Jackson is a part of that. They've sworn some kind of blood oath. Raja Jackson has the same tattoo on his arm. This is not going to look good when this thing goes to trial. They're definitely going to bring this interview in, and it would have been best for Raja Jackson if his friend just was completely silent and didn't say anything. I think his friend's feeling the pressure at the fact that he might be an accessory because he told Raja Jackson to punch the wrestler in the ring. He just didn't expect him to punch him that much. He would have been better off to say, well, yeah, I told him to punch him lightly. I didn't know he was going to do that. This interview that he gave was extremely damning. And people, even in the comments on this interview, you can see the comments come up, and they're telling him, you should probably be quiet. You shouldn't talk about this. This isn't going to go good for court. And they were kicking these people out of the chat on this particular podcast. The podcast host was not doing anybody any favors here.
So Kick confirmed to CNN that Raja Jackson's account has been banned from the platform, and then Rampage Jackson said, I don't condone my son's actions at all, in a post to X Sunday morning in which he claimed that Smith was awake and stable. Raja Jackson, suffered a concussion from sparring only days ago and had no business doing anything remotely close to physical contact. As a father, I'm deeply concerned with his health and the well-being of Mr. Smith.
Yeah, and Raja Jackson was live on Kick at the time. He was on Kick for most of the day, so that's why this incident is so well documented. And Rampage Jackson, Raja Jackson's father, actually told one of the other gentlemen, people are going to harass you on Kick and stuff like that, but it's a lot of money. Just take it. Don't worry about it. Your profile will go up. He said that did happen. I don't know why Rampage Jackson didn't give his son the same advice, because his son is going to have a tough time now. The UFC has already come forward, say he will never fight in the UFC. The only major MMA promotions left are overseas. With a charge like this, he's not going to be able to enter a lot of countries, so I don't know how he's going to fight overseas. That's probably no longer an option. Kick also took him off. I'm expecting other social media platforms may not let him on. He does not have a lot of money. He's been on Kick in the past, and his father has money. His father doesn't help him out to an extreme amount. So what's he going to do now? I mean, his father was helping him out with Kick. Rampage Jackson profile was huge, so his son was getting a basic rub from that with a lot of subscribers, a big contract with that. Now that money's gone. So it's going to be very interesting. And his dad's probably going to have to pony up at least $1 million legal defense, if not a payout.
And then the father said, that being said, I'm very upset that any of this happened, but my main concern now is that Mr. Smith will make a speedy recovery. I apologize on his, Roger Jackson's, behalf and to Kick for the situation.
Yeah, and I've been really impressed with Rampage's Jackson's awareness of the situation. He didn't come out trying to defend his son. He said it was wrong. He said he's concerned about the victim. He's done everything right here, and if I was almost expecting him to take a different path, and if he would have, it would have severely hurt his career. But actually, Rampage Jackson is looking fairly good here. So, and I did talk about this last night. I don't know how relevant it is, but there was an old interview that surfaced with Rampage Jackson, and he speaks very, very plainly. He says, I have 2 Japanese kids. I have 2 black kids. I knew at a young age, my 2 Japanese kids were going to go to college. I put college money aside for both of them. They both went to college. I knew Raja specifically would be in trouble with the law one day. So I put bail money aside for him. So if he is arrested, I assume Rampage is going to post bail for him. A lot of people might not remember back when Rampage Jackson was fighting in the UFC. Between fights, I guess he was drinking and driving, I believe, and he hit another vehicle where the woman was pregnant. Dana White came in and kind of made payouts and settlement agreements there. That really went away. I think that really smartened Rampage Jackson up from that point forward. He had no more other incidents, and he really changed the way he was behaving when he wasn't fighting after that incident. Okay, let's go into this David Chappelle comment. And the man that made this comment...
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, Dave Chappelle, yeah. But the man that made this comment about Netflix and Dave Chappelle might want his own comedy series because this is absolutely ridiculous.
This quote-unquote comedian is insufferable. From Variety, Mark Maron says Netflix chose Dave Chappelle over trans community, and that's how fascism works in business. Calls out Bill Maher's desperate chasing of relevance.
Well, and this is just pure TDS syndrome. And we have another one of these coming up, and I believe it's going to be the next story after this. And this is the thing. A lot of these people in Hollywood are living in a bubble, and when you put alcohol and drug use on top of that, they just can't realize that the culture is actually shifting, and maybe they should shift with it. This is just not a U.S. cultural shift that's happening. This is a worldwide global shift. You see this happening in Europe, Australia, even Canada. If it's not the governments themselves right now, it's the populations of these countries. So making these TDS comments, that Trump derangement syndrome comments, is not going to help his career. And yeah, let's go into this a little bit.
Your microphone is being weird.
What do you mean?
It's
cracking?
Crackly, yeah.
Okay, well, let's...
So Mark Maron recently...
Somebody said that?
No, I can hear it.
Oh, you can hear it? It could be your headphones.
Mark Maron recently appeared on Pod Save America via Vulture and doubled down on his criticisms of Bill Maher, while the WTF host acknowledged that he joined Maher on HBO's Real Time 3 times in the past. He has since turned on Maher in recent years. Maron already called Maher out this summer for being partial to some of the things Donald Trump is doing in his second administration.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Both of these comedians, whether it's Bill Maher or David Chappelle, are really... They did have left-wing views, but David Chappelle equally hates on everybody of all races. He doesn't single out one individual or one thing. He does make jokes about Trump all the time. So he should maybe be calling out more right-wing comedians, I would suspect, if he wants to take this stance. But calling out people on his own side is a little bit ridiculous. Bill Maher is able to make the cultural shift, but still be honest when he is making that cultural shift. You can see those are his authentic opinions.
I can do it, Maron said when Pod Save America host John Lovett asked him about Maher. I always had a problem with his tone, and it happens with some of the other boomers. There's this desperate chasing of relevance that changes someone's mind in terms of how they approach what they do, and also kind of makes the whole undertaking feel desperate.
Yeah, this tone policing is absolutely ridiculous. They live in America. This is free speech. And later on, we're going to have a story of Donald Trump kind of going over to other nations and saying, if you keep attacking tech companies with free speech specifically, there will be repercussions. That's good to hear. But it's a little ridiculous when people, this comedian wants to be able to use free speech when it's to his advantage, and he wants to tone police others when he doesn't like what they're saying. Let's go a little
But
bit.
also, he's mentioning like, oh, it's boomers and other boomers right now, and we saw it during the protests. And I don't know like statistically what it's like, but we did see it's a lot of boomers that are very against and have a lot of TDS and are thinking that they're living in a fascist government and start to sound ridiculous. The young people are the ones that are waking up and starting to go to church.
Yeah, and that's the issue. A lot of these people that do have TDS that are younger, it's not a big proportion or a big population, especially when you're gauging by statistics and self-reporting of who the new generation kind of supports. And it seems to be leaning more conservative, more Trump. That being said, these leftists do have loud voices that are often amplified by the mainstream media. So maybe it seems like these boomer liberals think that the next generation is going to be on their side, but it's slowly, maybe even quickly shifting here. Okay, let's go and see what he said about David Chappelle here, though.
Okay, so this is more about Bill Maher. In his Pod Save America interview, Myron also took aim at Netflix.
Oh, one second. And if you don't know what Pod Save America is, it is just a cringe that's trying to be Joe Rogan, but it's nowhere close to that. It's completely manufactured. And yeah, I often watch it just to see what the liberal opinion is, so I can kind of know their talking points for my nightly show.
Myron also took aim at Netflix by saying fascism is good for business. They don't even know what fascism actually means.
Yeah, fascism is a public-private partnership
of corporations.
Yeah, of corporations.
Netflix will just, co-opt anybody they can take that can take that algorithm. I used to do a joke about it. Netflix can become Reichflix very quickly. Marin cited the streamer's decision to continue working with Dave Chappelle.
First of all, Netflix, what used to be Leftflix, they've just slowly made the cultural change to be in the middle. Most of these media companies, news companies, and movie companies that are making the cultural shift are not going right wing. They're going back to the middle. They'll make right-wing content, left-wing content, and non-political content. And it's very important they go back to non-political content, because over the last few years, the messaging was shoved into every movie, and it was requirements to have DEI hires up to 50% on a lot of these filming sets in order to qualify for awards or get movie studio contracts.
So, Marin cited the streamer's decision to continue working with Dave Chappelle despite the comedian's history of anti-trans jokes as the pivotal moment, explaining when they had pushback from the trans community about Chappelle, they realized after several days that the community was not going to affect their bottom line at all, and they cut him loose. That's how fascism works in business. When podcast host Lovett noted that Netflix is home to a wide array of LGBTQ plus content despite working with Chappelle, Maron answered, but ultimately, who's getting the big deals? Which shows stay on the air? What do they keep repeating? That's them saying, we got this other stuff and we know there's a few of you, but we're throwing you a bone, so shut up.
Well, and that's the thing about Pod Save America with a lot of these leftist or stars. If they do go on there, they feel like they're in a safe space, but those hosts are highly political and extremely progressive, and they're going to get you into conversations that are going to wind up making headlines, and maybe not in a good way necessarily for your career, because the cultural shift is currently underway. Let's go into John Leguizamo, and this kind of relates to that.
And Rafa says, guys, mic sounds good to me. So
okay,
probably
perfect.
It is my...
I think I was just moving my water and stuff around, and because of the desk.
And I have to get new headphones eventually. From Deadline, John Leguizamo recalls being humiliated by early film role in regarding Henry that perpetuated quote-unquote negative Latino images.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this... in the same comment I kind of said about the last article, but when I was gathering this articles, I initially had the thought about him, and if he's doing a lot of drugs and alcohol and he has not been looking good lately, a few months ago, we actually reported on him. And he does not look good. He had reportedly had a drug and alcohol abuse problem previously. And if he is living in this Hollywood bubble, and very often, like, he is hired for DEI purposes and other purposes, like, if he doesn't make the cultural shift, it's not going to work out well for him if he stays, he thinks he's going to get roles by making these political statements because he has in the past. That's not going to work anymore. Okay, let's go into this just a little bit. And I was surprised. Last time I put John Leguizamo, I actually put him on the cover of the thumbnail, and that episode did extremely well.
It's funny because I didn't know who he was.
Well, he's from
until when I was older.
He was from my time when he first came up, and he always played the token Italian or the token Latino, and he did a great job. I actually liked him when I was a kid. It's as he got older, he just started making crazy political comments, and his drug use just seemed to amplify, allegedly. So
John Leguizamo recalled being humiliated by an early bit part in 1991's Regarding Henry, in which he's credited as liquor store gunman. During a recent appearance on podcast Fly... Why are they all on podcasts? Fly on the Wall.
Because they're trying to find the new Joe Rogan on the left, which isn't going to exist because Joe Rogan used to be on the left. And the left went so crazy, he went back to the center and eventually to the right and moved to Texas.
Well, he's not even on the right.
Well,
I'd say he's on the center, if anything.
Well, he's much like Tim Pool, but I would say I said they both are because there's the new right's kind of forming with a big tent political view.
Well, Tim Pool realized it benefits him more to be more on the right, and I think at least Joe Rogan has still a bit of his own opinions in there.
Okay, let's go into
During
this.
A recent appearance on podcast Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade, the Emmy winner ruefully reflected on the role after it was brought up by Spade. Though Leguizamo took the role as he wanted to work with late director Mike Nichols, whom he called one of the greats, he noted that even talking about the movie just gives me PTSD. This man doesn't know what PTSD if it's hit him in the face. This is
crazy because like all these movies that he did where he was playing the role of a Latino or an Italian when he played in the original Mario Brothers, this made his career, and he was actually doing very well, and he was on different comedian shows. He was doing fantastic. It's when he started, I think he was probably most likely started using too much drugs, too much alcohol, and starting to get too political. If he walks away from the politics and tries to move back to the center, maybe it's not too late for him. I just don't see him doing it at all. And but when somebody like this makes the type of political statements they have all over the place, they're going to come out and have to give an interview and kind of say why they were wrong or why their political views have changed.
You know, I was kind of humiliated by it. The Ice Age actor said of his experience. I did it because I got no jobs. There were no jobs for Latin folk. Ugh.
He's constantly...
There just weren't. I'm Latina, by the way, so I can say these things.
He's constantly had work all the way through, and he hasn't been pigeonholed into Latino roles. He was playing a lot of Italian roles because after he played in Mario Brothers and stuff like that.
And he does kind of, I mean,
Italian, there wasn't a lot of Latin competition, like mainstream actors that really had broken through. He was one of those people. So the fact that he was Latin actually helped him out to score premium roles throughout his career.
And you don't have to be Latino to notice this. Like I just said that because people will always be like, oh, you can't say that. And anybody can say whatever they want.
And I mean, he apparently was in Ice Age, which was a huge animated hit where his race wasn't even involved in it.
Mm-hmm. The drama, written by J.J. Abrams and starring Harrison Ford and Annette Bening, came before Leguizamo's breakout roles in Carlito's Way, To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, and Romeo and Juliet. Ford portrays a ruthless, amoral lawyer who is shot by Leguizamo's robber, and after waking up from a coma with amnesia, transforms it into a more compassionate human being. The movie received mixed reviews.
Yeah, and I'm going to expect more political, unnecessary comments from John Leguizamo. I think the only way he really sees himself getting relevance and making headlines is when he makes crazy statements like this. What he doesn't realize is he's actually digging his own grave with the cultural shift that's underway. Okay, let's go into the next article here, and I believe this is Henry Cavill, and I had him on the cover.
Karen Gillan joins Henry Cavill in Highlander.
And I like this role for him. There has been a wide talk of a bunch of different roles for Henry Cavill, and Highlander is absolutely perfect for him. Hopefully he can put on an authentic accent. I don't know if he can. After Superman, he's really pigeonholed as an American actor. Highlander is really Scottish. So, and it's going to be hard to kind of go in the footsteps of, oh God, Sean Connery. But if anybody can do it, Henry can. I really like him as an actor. The Warhammer movie was rumored, that kind of fell apart, but a lot of other big roles such as Batman, he's rumored to go in as well. I would assume that would have to happen after Highlander. Highlander is absolutely fantastic. He already knows how to do the sword play from The Witcher and other roles like The Witcher. So I think this is perfect for him. When I was gathering the story though, the mainstream media really does not like him. In general, they were putting the actress's name and they refused to put his name in it. I think his name should have led the headline.
So Karen Gillian has joined the cast of Amazon's MGM Highlander remake, adding another big name to the sword fighting fantasy. Gillian will play Heather, the mortal wife of Connor MacLeod and the love of his life. In the original 1986 movie, Heather's tragic relationship with MacLeod underscored the personal cost of immortality as he was forced to watch her grow old while he remained unchanged.
Yeah, and that's a great storyline, and it always was. I mean, I remember I grew up on the actual series that filmed in Vancouver, and I remember seeing that as a kid in Vancouver. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, I like the fact that she had red hair there. So it really leans into the Scottish Highlands and the demographic of that area.
Oh, Henry Cavill is British. I mean, yes, I know a Scottish.
Oh, he is British?
Hard, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he was British. Maybe that's why he was rumored for. I don't know why they don't put him as 007 then.
Because he's, I don't know, too young maybe?
Too young. No, they want young. That's
I know,
the thing.
but
They want young right now because all the actors that would play best as 007, such as Idris Elba or Tom Hardy, are kind of aging out and they want to reset the series for the next decade. So they want somebody young enough that can actually grow with the role and stay there. Then again, Henry Cavill might come with a big price tag if you want to monopolize him for the next 10 years.
And I mean, apparently his mom is of Scottish, English, and Irish heritage, but I will say there's a lot of British actors that cannot do a Scottish accent.
For sure.
As much as they try.
And I never hear an accent on him. I always viewed him as American.
Do you want me to keep going?
We can go to the next article if you want there. And I think it's K-pop Demon Hunters. And we actually have 2 articles about this because I just want to show the trajectory of Netflix and some of their blunders they've been having lately.
From Deadline, K-pop Demon Hunters delivers Netflix's first #1 box office win with a 19 million plus, but streamer doesn't want to officially report.
Okay, and this is not a blunder necessarily because it's K-pop Demon Hunters. This looked fantastic when I watched the preview. The blunder is how they're handling this IP. They have an absolute golden hit, an opportunity on their hands. I don't know if they lack theater distribution or what's going on here, but it was able to hit #1 at the box office. And typically a #1 movie would have widespread distribution. This did not. I believe this was in under 1,000 theaters. Typically widespread distribution is going to nearly 4,000 theaters. So, and this was only a couple day run. It was only in the theaters for a few days when they realized they had a hit on their hands, because this was a sing-along movie where the words come up and everybody in the audience kind of sings along. When they realized this worked, they should have extended the theater run and expanded it. Instead, they're bringing it right to Netflix.
Right back again to Netflix.
Yeah, let's read a little bit about it.
Sources tell Deadline that Netflix, Sony Pictures Animation's K-pop Demon Hunter sing-along is coming in at #1. Note that rival studios are all over the map, still estimating this, but that's where we are seeing the anime movie from directors Maggie Kang and Chris Appelants. After a 10.1 million Saturday and 9 million Sunday, Netflix kept quiet about the numbers all weekend, which is very odd given how it provided guidance when it had the limited Thanksgiving play of Rian Johnson's Glass Onion Knives Out Mystery, which did 15 million in its first week at 696 sites. In addition, the streamer isn't shy about proclaiming to the world that its internal measurement of how its shows and movies viewership.
Yeah, and typically they, when they released Knives Out for a limited release, Netflix is really bad at this. They do these limited releases so they can qualify for certain awards because it went into the minimal amount of theaters. That being said, their movies are good enough to have widespread releases. I think they wanted to avoid the marketing budget, but I think that's a bad play because if they do invest in the marketing budget, if it does well in theaters, it's going to bring new subscribees to Netflix when it does release there. They also have a problem with releasing something in theaters the rare times that they do, and then immediately releasing it on Netflix
I
after.
think they released this first on Netflix. It's still available on Netflix, and they just did it like, oh, come sing along at the theater.
No, they did the sing-along version, which was slightly different in theaters, where it has the words on the screen with the sing-along book, which was a great idea because nobody else had really done this in theaters, and it really had a viral marketing campaign that could have went along with it. Everybody was encouraged when they went into the theater to bring out your phones, film everybody in the theater singing, because it was kind of an event. Okay, we can go into the second K-pop Demon Hunters article, and this one was more important, I thought.
From Deadline, K-pop Demon Hunters sing-along version to debut on Netflix.
Yeah, and it went directly from the one weekend in theaters to Netflix. So if you missed it, like, there's no reason to go back. They had such a success, they could have not put it directly to Netflix and then did a nationwide release. I really think they're having distribution problems at this point because I'm yet to see or can remember a widespread distribution of a Netflix movie for a long period of time. So I think a lot of the other major studios are really pressuring their distributors not to go with Netflix. Let's read a little bit about this, though.
Netflix phenomenon K-pop Demon Hunters is getting its streaming sing-along version. Dropping on the streaming platform tonight at midnight Pacific, Netflix announced the news on social media with the caption, "For the fans." The animated film, produced in partnership with Sony Pictures Animation of Spider-Verse movies, has dominated both Nielsen and Netflix streaming charts since its June 20th release, becoming the streamer's most watched animated film in history. News of the sing-along edition moving to streaming comes after its one weekend only screening event in theaters, which logged an estimated 18 million two-day opening, according to sources.
Yeah, they didn't know what they had on their hands, and I don't know how they didn't because when this kept making headlines, I didn't know what it was. I didn't look at it, and finally it made enough headlines. I said, I better go watch the trailer, see what this is about. And I said, this is fantastic. This is exactly what young kids want. It's not traditional animation. It's not quite anime. It's not quite not anime. It really has everything. I would have suspected this new generation wants. I was actually intrigued by the animation style itself. So how did they not know they had a major hit, especially with the success it had already had on Netflix? I'm assuming they must be having high-level meetings right now, wanting to make a mainstream movie for this thing. Okay, let's go into Gears of War talk now.
From The Hollywood Reporter, Nobody 2 producers David Late and Kelly McCormick talk Gears of War and moving on from Jurassic World.
Yeah, and Gears of War could be big because it has a lot of these video game IPs that are crossing over to movies are doing extremely well. This is going to have a built-in fan base. Plus, it's going to have a male audience that maybe has never heard of the game, want to go see this. If they can do it right, the trailer is guaranteed to be good because it's the people from Jurassic Park. Even though the new Jurassic Park movie wasn't that good, and a lot of people said it didn't quite have enough dinosaurs, but people thought it did because of the trailer, and this is what drove people to the movie. But they did hit the visual look of Jurassic Park, which I think would carry over somewhat to Gears of War. So I'm expecting this to look good and have a good trailer. The question is, can they pull off an actual good movie after the disappointment of Jurassic Park?
And they also did Fall Guy, I believe.
Yeah.
Which we never saw.
No.
David Late and Kelly McCormick know a thing or two about franchises. Keith Late launched John Wick as co-director in 2014 and then split off on his own with producing partner and wife McCormick, helping him guide projects such as Deadpool 2 and Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay, so he's done John Wick, Deadpool. I mean, this is going to go right in, and they also had done Jurassic Park, which hit the visual look, which is, I'm going to guess, going to be somewhat similar to Gears of War. So I would expect this to do phenomenally, especially if they can focus in on one or two characters within the Gears of Wars to have a real emotional arc. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, it's fine. Well, they're because I'm guessing we want to focus on Gears of War, but they're just going on about their whole career because it's an interview.
Ugh.
So.
Okay,
That's
but
about it.
Gears of War, I am looking forward to this. when the trailer does come out, we will have it here. Okay, let's go into this story. And I never really liked this actor. I didn't know who he was until this article came up, but I can remember his face because, he's got one of those woke faces to me.
From Variety, Kumail Nanjiani signed on for 6 Marvel movies before Eternals. I thought it was my job for the next 10 years, but none of that happened.
Yeah, and oh God, I just don't like him. He's just too clean cut to if you're going to get an Indian actor, you have all of Bollywood. You should be able to discover great undiscovered talent there. And especially with Indian actors, they usually have a lot of emotion in their face because they have deep inset lines that are really expressional type things. This guy looks like he has a bunch of Botox and a smirk that just pisses me off. Okay, let's go into what he said here though.
Kumail Nanjiani says he signed on for 6 Marvel movies when he was cast as the superhero Kingo in Marvel Studios' Eternals, but that the film's critical and commercial disappointment shattered him and led him to seek out therapy.
At least he's honest about it.
The topic came up in Nanjiani's appearance on fellow stand-up comedian Mike I can never say his last name. Birbiglia's Working It Out podcast. Nanjiani revealed that his Marvel experience is a key subject in his new stand-up special releasing on Hulu later this year.
Oh, God.
Well, he's still in the Disney ecosystem.
Well, he does have something to go back to, and that is stand-up, so good for him there, I guess.
I talked about how I was in this big movie. It came right after the dark times, so I had a year and a half at home to just be like, oh, when this thing comes out. But then it came out and it got really bad reviews and it didn't do that well. It shattered me too much. Then I was like, oh, I need to go to therapy to figure this out.
Well, and a lot of these modern day actors that are signing up for these Marvel movies may want to take note from this. Marvel is on a downward trajectory. It's hurting people's career immensely. Marvel also typically pays a lot less than a lot of other studios for these franchises because this used to be something you would platform your career or springboard your career for the next movie and the next movie after that. It's no longer doing that. It's more of a hindrance than a benefit. I know we recently talked about, what's that Hispanic actress in Wednesday?
Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega. She's talking about being in the new X-Men. She might want to think twice, but let's go into this article a little bit more.
He said, I was like, oh, this is going to be my job for the next 10 years. Nanjiani continued, I signed on for 6 movies. I signed on for a video game. I signed on for a theme park ride. They make you sign up for all this stuff, but it's all preliminary. And
yeah, they had him locked in, and when they didn't want him, they just threw him away, and he probably had no recourse to this, which bad for him for signing on for all that.
But you have to. And you're like, this is the next 10 years of my life, so I'll be doing Marvel movies every year. And in between, I'll do my own little things, whatever I want to do. And then none of that happened. Eternals released in November 2021 and was the worst reviewed Marvel Cinematic Universe entry up to that point. There's been worse. It grossed $402 million globally, which was seen as a theatrical disappointment for a $200 million budgeted franchise entry from a blockbuster banner like Marvel Studios. Since then, Nanjiani's Kingo and his fellow Eternals heroes haven't featured in another live-action Marvel project.
Okay, let's go into the next one. We'll go away from star power and go into a couple lawsuits here.
From The Hollywood Reporter, you don't actually own that movie you just bought. A new class action lawsuit targets Amazon. A suit challenges Prime Video, telling people they can buy a movie when they're purchasing a license to watch it for a period of time. And I always talk about this, and I told people again and again, get physical media, things that you can touch and you can store somewhere and know where it is.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but this is going to be a huge lawsuit. Based upon this lawsuit is going to have more of an impact in the video game industry itself. They're going to have to change the licensing agreement saying you're not buying, you're just renting the license for a extended period of time. I think Amazon will lose this case because they are saying you are buying it. It is an expectation when you buy something. It's not, the license isn't going to be taken away from you. We do talk about this a lot. This will affect the movie industry somewhat, but I expect the precedent to be set in this case, if it comes down against Amazon, to have major repercussions in the video game industry.
A little known fact about movie and TV show purchases online: what's being bought isn't actually ownership of the title, but rather a limited time license for viewing access. Consider the $4.99 director's cut of Alien on Amazon Prime Video. Cheap, right? But if the tech giant loses the rights to that version, the movie can be replaced with a different cut, like the one for theaters. And if Amazon loses the rights to the film altogether, it'll completely disappear from the viewer's library. So should Amazon be able to say to consumers that a consumer is buying that movie? Some people don't think so, so they've turned to court.
Okay, and just to say this right now, it seems like you would want to avoid any lawsuits by just outright saying that you're renting the movie. They don't want to do that because streaming services are in competition with one another. So if one streaming service is saying you're buying the movie and another one saying, oh, you're only renting it, the one that's buying it is going to have a huge advantage. If this precedent does come down, it's going to affect the video game industry as well as the movie industry, and all corporations at the same time will now have to say that they're renting movies. So it won't really affect the industry and maybe the way a lot of people are thinking.
And it's scary.
I don't think anybody's going to sell the perpetual license. I think they'll all stick together in this monopolistic type practice and just say, we're all going to agree that you're renting the movie.
But they still sell DVDs and stuff. And it is scary that a lot of not just movies, but shows, books, everything that's digital can be changed at any point. They did that with Dr. Seuss. They've done that with a bunch of other novels and books and even TV series where they're removed, changed, dubbed over things that are problematic, or even just like brands, or they want to cut out a scene that didn't really work. Friends is very different if you watch it on DVD rather than on streaming services because they've changed a bunch of scenes and people don't realize.
Well, yeah, and also governments themselves are changing things. The Chinese government does not allow Winnie the Pooh into anything because Xi Jinping's extremely insecure and everybody calls him Winnie the Pooh. So Winnie Pooh's just not allowed in video games, movies, nothing in China. On top of that, Donald Trump was taken out of Home Alone Part 2, I believe it was, because the Canadian government was going through a tariff war with Donald Trump. Like, we want to see these movies in their original form with the director and the editors intended.
On Friday, a proposed class action was filed in Washington federal court against Amazon over a bait and switch in which the company allegedly misleads consumers into believing they've purchased content when they're only getting a license to watch, which can be revoked at any time. The issue came to the forefront at the California legislature in 2023 when gamers discovered that their access to The Crew would be cut off once Ubisoft shut down servers for the game. After the Stop Ending Games movement was born to stop publishers from destroying titles consumers had already bought. The way in which digital transactions are structured, the lack of transparency around them, and the streaming landscape is partly why physical media is kind of sort of cool again. TVDs offer the ability, now and forever, to bypass the complicated web of licenses that leave fans unable to access their favorite titles.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because you're going to want these movie companies release these things in theaters, and I had always said rather than going from theaters directly to streaming, which they seem to be doing within a month now, which is crazy, they should be putting them in theaters for 3 to 4 months and then have a in-between time where they're not on streaming, where you can actually buy it on streaming if you want, and then release it for free on the complete streaming platform. But in that in-between time where you're going to purchase it, you actually want to be able to purchase it, not just have a perpetual license. But I think the companies themselves don't even own the perpetual license. They only own the license for a certain number of years, and then there's often a bidding war for old titles.
But I mean, a lot of series and shows and movies do still come out on DVD. So maybe the best idea is just to buy, because now DVDs are super cheap as well, or Blu-ray or whatever you want to call it.
I think it's not cost effective because even video games are moving away from hard media. It's just not cost effective because of the shipping, the distribution, the packaging.
But what I'm saying is if there's something you really like, you still have it's not like DVDs went away. It's just people stopped caring about it.
They are going away, and the industry is moving away from that.
But they're not now because of the demand.
We also live in Mexico, so.
No, but even in Vancouver, there was a whole section in London Drugs that was still DVDs and the newest releases as well.
Yeah, but they were, okay, I'm not going to go, I don't want to get into a debate about it. Let's go into The View, though.
So the Harpies are back. From Variety, The View's set season 29 premiere date, in case anybody was waiting for that.
Yeah, and I kind of put this in here because I was hoping they weren't going to come back, and they were on a hiatus. They're going to come back on, I believe it's September 8th, so anybody that can't wait.
Well, they always take an August hiatus. They just took it 1 week earlier this year.
Yeah, but there's big talks that they weren't going to come back. And when they do come back, there's going to be major retooling. I think these ladies had a talk to. So it's going to be interesting what the actual cast is when they come back. Do they rearrange anybody? These girls have big contracts, so I don't think they just want to let them go. That being said, they are good for views on YouTube because shows like ours and independent media are constantly making fun of them. So they do get a lot of views on YouTube. They don't get a lot of views on their normal show.
I really do hope they bring back that lawyer nanny guy. I mean, he would be a great addition. Just have a man there that corrects you all.
This show has great potential, and this is coming from somebody that doesn't like the show. If they can bring a conservative with a backbone on there that can actually have some debate and pushback and get these girls riled up on the air and have them scream back 1/4 and at each other, you're going to have the view almost like Jerry Springer there. Not quite Jerry Springer, but you need some pushback, some back and forth like Pierce Morgan has. This show has the potential on that because they have the most hated progressives on daytime already there. They just need to find a cast of conservatives to come on there and push back, just one or two. I know the one girl there with the brown hair in the back, the younger girl, the good looking one next to Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay.
She used to be a conservative when she came on there. I don't know if she still claims to be, but they've liberalized her over the time and she no longer gives pushback.
So The View will return on ABC for season 29 on September 8th, the network announced, in case anybody was holding their breaths. The top-rated daytime talk show features hosts Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Sarah Haynes, Anna Navarro, and Alyssa Farah Griffin.
Okay, go up again. Because of all those girls, the ones you would keep would be Whoopi Goldberg and what's the other girl's name with the black girl there?
Sunny Hostin.
You would keep Sunny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg because those are the two that make the most clips on YouTube. And then,
Joy Behar also. She's infuriating.
Well, okay, keep those three and then just have their equals on conservatives. So let the other three girls kind of go and replace them with conservatives. So there's some back and forth, some pushback. And then more conservatives would do the show because they wouldn't feel like they were getting ganged up by these gangle of progressive messaging women.
Gaggle.
Okay.
The gangle.
Let's go into the next story. I just kind of wanted to review that. I think the show does have potential if they can just bring the right people on there. So...
From DW, Elon Musk sues Apple and OpenAI over monopolistic behavior.
Yeah, this is a little bit ridiculous. Elon Musk himself is all for monopolies. If he had the opportunity to monopolize an industry, he's going to completely do it. Now, I understand OpenAI, he actually had started with the other gentleman, and now the other gentleman doesn't want to make it nonprofit, but wants to bring it for profit, or he already has. So there is a lot of tension between him and Elon Musk. That being said, Elon Musk is just as guilty of this as these other guys. These other guys just did it a little better than him.
Mm-hmm. Musk's ex-AI company has sued Apple and OpenAI over monopolistic behavior, alleging that the collaboration between the two is preventing his Grok chatbot from competing with ChatGPT.
Okay, and what else was I going to say about this? I think Elon Musk did make up with the administration because I was seeing something where he was sitting with Donald Trump and Melania Trump, and they said, we've made up. But I don't know if that
were they ever really angry. We did discuss that before.
Yeah. But the fact that there are these open cases and that he is aligned with the administration doesn't hurt him at all. No. So, okay, let's go into the next article, and that's going to be NBC Universal, Major League Baseball. And I was surprised at this contract. I don't like baseball at all, but we'll go into it a little bit.
From Deadline, NBC Universal and Major League Baseball in talks for 3-year, $600 million deal amid lively MLB action.
Yeah, and I believe Fox turned down the renewal contract, and that's how NBC Universal kind of picked this up. But $600 million for 3 years, that seems like a bargain. I just don't know if anybody's watching baseball. That's $200 million a year. The UFC is charging $1.1 or $1.7 billion a year for the next 7 years. So this is a fraction of that price. I just don't think it has the number of people watching this and the growth potential that the UFC does.
And I do think
this is one of the cheaper sports properties that's out there, though.
But I think a lot of people like to see it live, and it's like a pastime thing and even a tourist thing. But I don't know how many people watch on TV.
Even when you go to a baseball game live, it's just 9 innings and it just goes on and on and on. It's fine to bring your kid there or for a date or something, but the few times I went to a baseball game, I didn't even stay to the end.
NBC Universal is nearing a 3-year deal with Major League Baseball worth close to $200 million a year to carry games on NBC and Peacock. Deadline has confirmed amid a flurry of activity around the MLB. Nicholas.
Yeah, and I think the best thing is if you're going to pick up baseball as a TV or a studio that's going to distribute it, you just go for specific teams like the New York Yankees, or you want to pick up the World Series, or you want to have the playoffs. But playing a bunch of games that aren't going to have a lot of viewers, I don't think is going to do very well for the station itself. You could potentially air other sports or other things in those time slots that would do far better. A baseball game takes a lot of airtime. It's going to be 2, 3, 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go into Nike and China.
From Reuters, Nike eyes China growth with outdoor sports revamp at the center.
Yeah, and we know how the Trump administration feels about manufacturing in China and these companies in China. So what I think they're doing, especially being so outspoken with this, is they're going to use their Chinese manufacturing to distribute within Asia and China-friendly countries, and then have another distribution center probably within the United States, and another one maybe inside Mexico. So regional distribution and manufacturing centers for specific countries. I think that would work best. And I think going forward, especially with the globe starting to divide and polarize, you're going to need Western manufacturing, and then you're going to need global South manufacturing. And that's the best way to address this problem. Apple's in a real situation because they had put all their eggs in the Chinese basket, and now they're really having trouble transitioning back to Western manufacturing.
Nike's push into the booming outdoor recreation market, which will kick off on Monday with the launch of a new trail running shoe, will test whether it can turn a little-known sub-brand into a meaningful growth engine. The sportswear giant plans to unveil a version of its Ultrafly trail running shoe, branded under its outdoor sub-brand ACG, at the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc and Ultramarathon in France that kicks off events on Monday.
Yeah, and just like these stores have brick and mortar stores in all these countries, you could easily have manufacturing specific to countries and regions. And I think that's the best way, especially with all these tariffs. The United States is not the first one to do tariffs.
Nike is...
And if Donald Trump is successful with these tariffs, other countries are going to lean into them harder. So regional manufacturing is the way to go in the future, I believe. Okay, we can go into... Sorry, I had a lot of stories, so I'm just kind of blowing through the last few here. And that's Trump.
Oh, look, breaking. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announced engagement.
No.
Because nobody's paying attention to her album, probably, or to her.
Yeah.
From ABC News, Trump vows retaliation against countries with digital rules targeting U.S. tech. President Donald Trump has vowed to impose new tariffs and export curbs on countries with digital taxes or regulations affecting American tech companies.
And this is absolutely fantastic. This is exactly what he needs to do. The EU is kind of disgusted with Donald Trump, and they're doing a massive attack on the U.S. tech industry and free speech in general. I'm glad Trump is finally standing up here, and after this tariff deal was kind of signed, now he's focusing on free speech and these attacks that are coming to U.S. tech firms. J.D. Vance has also come back with extremely hard language the last few days, going after the UK specifically on free speech. So the protectionist values Donald Trump and the current administration will bring into not only the tech industry, but free speech platforms. They're going to really need to go after these countries like the UK, like the EU, and like Brazil. Brazil has really gone after U.S. tech companies extremely hard, specifically X.
I mean, he should really impose one on Canada, because they have that whole news and social media platform thing where they make the platforms pay for links to news articles, which is insane.
Yeah.
It works the other way around.
The thing is, if Trump breaks the EU, he breaks Canada. So he needs to be going after the EU because they think they're this global, this one world government they're going to create, and Trump needs to shut this crap down now.
So he has vowed to impose new tariffs and export curbs on countries with digital taxes or regulations that affect American technology companies. Trump didn't mention specific places, but his comments were taken as a threat against the European Union's digital rules to rein in companies like Google, Apple, and Meta. In a post to Truth Social late Monday, Trump said he would stand up to countries that attack our incredible American tech companies.
Yeah, and the issue is here, these individual countries and all these governing bodies, like you have Italy, then on top of Italy, you're going to have the EU on top of that. You have the UN, NGOs, private investment firms. They all have their rules, and the EU population is already censored to an extreme. The problem they're having now is a lot of these YouTubers or social media influencers are based out of the United States, and a lot of that content is being eaten up and influencing the EU population. And the only way for them to stop it is put these extraordinary fines on these US tech companies. So if Donald Trump can go in there and squash that, it's going to give the US cultural priority globally again. Okay, let's go into the last article of the day if we can.
From the AP, Trump says he'll keep extending TikTok shutdown deadline to shut down the damn thing once and for all.
Yeah, and this was just an update. I keep updating it. I think this is like the 6th or 7th update I've given on this. So they're still working through a lot of the tariff deal that's going down with China. It's a 90-day extension and 90-day extension where they work out the details. Yesterday, Trump came out and he said he is going to allow 600,000 Chinese students into U.S. colleges. That being said, if he's doing that for Chinese students, I would expect them to work out a deal with TikTok. They're just going to keep extending it until the tariff deal gets worked out, much like he's doing with the EU and free speech with inside the EU. He's going to focus on that issue after that tariff deal is inked, pen to paper. Okay.
I'd just be happier if they shut it down.
We'll read a little bit about this and then we'll call it a day.
President Donald Trump is calling national security and privacy concerns related to TikTok and its Chinese parent company highly overrated. He's the one that brought... and said Friday he'll keep extending the deadline for the popular video sharing platform until there's a buyer. Congress approved a U.S. ban on TikTok unless its parent company ByteDance sold its controlling stake, but Trump has so far extended the deadline 3 times during his second term, with the next one coming up on September 17th. We're going to watch the security concerns, Trump told reporters, but he added, we have buyers, American buyers, and until the complexity of things work out, we'll just extend a little bit longer.
Yeah, and this is like we were talking about fascism earlier, but this is one of those points. The government actually stepping in to force a sale of a foreign company to a U.S. buyer. That just seems,
well, it's a foreign company.
That seems a little crazy, but overall,
that's rotting people's brains.
You hate TikTok. I
do.
want to go on TikTok, but you refuse to let me.
Well, I have principles, and I will attain and sustain my.
Yeah, but then when I ask you if TikTok goes to the U.S., will we use it then?
No, because I think it rots people's brains. I think in general.
Yeah, but if there's a change to the platform,
they'd have to do long form content and get rid of all the AI and all the bots.
Okay, well, thanks for tuning in today.
It's not like YouTube doesn't have that, but at least I don't know.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for. Do you got anything else?
Thanks for tuning in today.
And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers and eventually maybe one day 1,000. We'll see you tomorrow night on our political show at 6 p.m. Mexico City time. Adios.
And thank you so much to Rafa for your comments. That's what I wanted to say.